Hey, you guys, welcome back to Sandy Boy Reviews. I am your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to check out my channel and to talk about your favorite horror films and my favorite horror films. I have had so much coffee this morning, which is fine. I've had guests all week, so I'm a little behind. That's why I am going to chop through this, I almost said interview, review. We are going to talk about No Exit. Not the play, not the book, but the movie based off of the book that is not based off of the play. What the fuck? Please subscribe if you haven't. Stay here. We have some interviews lined up. We have some more really cool reviews lined up, and I'm really pumped to just keep doing this. So yeah, have a seat.
I'm gonna have a seat.
We are going to talk about No Exit.
I'm going to twist your back like mine, so you'll never get out of bed again. Never get out of bed again! Never get out of bed again!
No Exit is a little big movie that was released onto Hulu a couple of weeks ago. It is based off of a book written by a guy named Taylor Adams that was published in 2017. And very shortly after its publication, 20th Century Studios bought the film rights. A guy named Damien Powers was set to direct, and it had a pair of writers named Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari, the men behind Ant-Man, the Marvel movie. And by June of 2021, it was filmed in New Zealand. 20th Century Studios wanted it to be released into theaters, but you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so a lot of movies that did not get a lot of hype just got dumped onto streaming. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's unfortunate because, in my opinion, this movie probably would have done okay in theaters because it is really, really pretty. It's got really, really beautiful wide shots. The winter setting is stunning. I guess we could just get into the plot now, though, because there's not a lot of backstory as far as the production goes. Let's get into it. The movie itself is about a girl named Darby who is in recovery. We don't know how many times she's been there, but it's pretty evident that this is not her first round. She gets a phone call from her sister that her mother is very ill. She decides to make a break from rehab, steal a car, and set out in the dead of winter in the midst of a blizzard to go to Salt Lake City to be with her mother, even though it's very clear from her family that she is not wanted there because she will just make matters worse. She is stopped by a cop. The cop tells her that she is going to be better off residing in a visitor center that is not too far away and just waiting out the rest of the blizzard until it stops. So she goes to this visitor center, and there are 4 other strangers there waiting the storm out too. There's a couple named Ed and Sandy, and then there are 2 other men. There is a brunette Kurt Cobain lookalike named Lars, who's a little bit of a weirdo, and then there is another charming, more handsome guy named Ash. There's a deck of cards with them, so they all decide to play like a game of bullshit and just deal with each other because they don't really have anything else to do. They don't have reception. Again, they're in the middle of a blizzard. Darby goes out into the parking lot trying to get some bars on her cell phone. And while she's in the parking lot, she notices kind of a strange looking van. And while she is looking inside the van, she notices that there is a very young girl tied up with duct tape over her mouth who has appeared to have been kidnapped. Wanting to help this girl, but not knowing how, she has to go back into this visitor center and figure out who, out of the 4 strangers, has kidnapped this girl. It kind of sets up this Agatha Christie-like story, and from this point forward, it's very white-knuckle and fast-paced. This is the kind of movie where I just can't say anything else about the plot because it would be giving away too many spoilers. This is the kind of movie that you just kind of have to watch. Everything that I thought kind of got flipped on its head, and what I thought was going to happen didn't happen, and I was consistently surprised throughout. I watch a lot of movies virtually with my friend Bill, and we were texting back and forth the entire time, and there were many, many moments where I would get an from Bill. I would write back with, whoa. There was just so many things that we just didn't expect to happen, and we were just thrown off by. And I love a good flashback sequence, and I love when flashbacks are utilized to forward the telling of the story, and this movie really, really, really utilized those well. I really liked the journey that we went on with Darby, and I liked that we were on her side the entire time because you could be given the character of a drug addict and someone who's helpless. You don't necessarily like them, and you don't want to be on their side. I was on Darby's side pretty much the whole time. I was rooting for her, and you really wanted her to prevail, and you wanted her to help this girl, and you wanted her to win at the end of the day. And I really liked the portrayal of her character Dale Dickey, dude. Dale Dickey. I just love Dale Dickey. Everything I see Dale Dickey in, I just love. I loved her in Winter's Bone. I loved her character arc in True Blood. If you guys have not seen them, wow. She has a very, very small, but very, very, very important part in that show that may make you think a little bit differently of her. And there's something happening in my neighborhood. I hope no one's stuck in a cabin anywhere. They're safe. If you ever get the chance to watch the show Them on Amazon Prime, watch it. She will terrify you. And here, she plays such a good role, and she is always so good in everything she's in. And yes, the guy from the insurance commercials is here. Once you can get past the fact that his forehead doesn't really move, he's a good actor. My only complaint about the acting in this film is the guy who plays Lars. When he's on screen with other people, I kind of, like particular people, I should say, he does really well. But when he is by himself, I didn't really care for him all that much. The little girl, Jay, she was great. Like, especially in the tougher moments towards the end where she really has to act. I'm not really big on, maybe they're not safe. When little kids are on screen, like, it's hit or miss for me. And I think that the little girl who played Jay really, really stepped up. Like, she really was put in some tough situations, and she did really well. The guy who plays Ash, he played charming, and then eventually, with what he had to do, he did his part well. So the acting was good. I was really on board with the acting. And the directing was very fast-paced. The action was in your face. There was a lot of brutal moments. There was a certain claustrophobia, and that is very much in contribution to the setting. This whole movie takes place, for the most part, inside of this visitor center and in the woods surrounding it. You kind of feel stuck with these people. It's not fun. I mean, it's fun, but it's a little overwhelming. This is Darby's film, and she really, really nailed it. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I mean. There is one scene in particular where, oh my goodness. As a horror guy, I caught a lot of really good references. There was some references to Psycho. There were some references to The Shining. I caught some Misery-esque type of references throughout. Going back to what I mentioned in my review for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre last week, plug, I think that Damien Power really watched some movies and took a few notes and gave us what we wanted to see. I really liked the wide shots and the looming shots of Darby driving through the winding roads in the blizzard. There was a lot of really cool nods to like old school horror films, and I really dug that. And I did my entire high school senior thesis on novel versus cinema and how it's a struggle to adapt a book into a screenplay and how it translates onto film. And I've never read the book, but I want to read the book now to see how they compare and contrast. I think that the author is probably very happy or doesn't have many complaints. I would love to see Damien Power do a Stephen King movie, a Blake Crouch film. I think he has a really good eye, and I'm really excited to see what this guy does next. Now, No Exit, it's a suspenseful thriller, but the last half packs a bloody, bloody punch, and it gets really, really red. There is some nail gun action. There is some bloody gun action. So for the last 30, 40 minutes, I would say that this is a horror film. So it fits right in for Sandy Boy Reviews. It is not an easy watch. There are some very cringy moments, and by cringy, I mean you're wincing, and I found myself doing this a few times, and like I said, there's a nail gun bit where you're like, oh, I was here for it. I was here for it. On Stanny Stab-O-Meter, I would definitely give this a solid 4. And the only reason I wouldn't give it a perfect score is because, I'm sorry, the guy who played Lars, I feel like that he could have been a little more or a little less. I don't know how to describe it. I just had a few problems with his relationship to certain characters in the film. I think that it could have been handled differently. And I think that that could have been acting choices. It could have been writing choices. I'm not entirely sure. I'm curious on how that was conveyed in the book and how that was translated into the screenplay and how that was then translated into the movie. But I can easily look past that. Also, some pacing issues. I really loved the flashback sequences. I love how they tied some things together and how the story was told as a whole. I really dug it. And I think that this is a good addition to the Hulu catalog. I really would have watched this on the big screen. I think that there were a lot of moments where the audience would have been going, oh, I don't know, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and feel free to leave some feedback and let me know what you thought of this movie. And yeah, I really look forward to seeing what these actors do next, especially Hannah Rose Liu. Like, I don't think she has very many credits to her name, but she's gonna go places because this was her movie through and through. She really owned this film in this part. No Exit. Let me know what you thought. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, subscribe. I'll see you guys next week, and take care for now.